begin. Let's begin, my friends. Excellent. Welcome, my esteemed catalysts, to Burning Dusk, episode 4. But before we begin, as always, a recap. An excellent recap. Drenched in the foul purple blood of Chthon, our catalyst greeted a sixth member of their band, a mighty great ogre sent to them by Kark, Visal of Clan Nabushki. After seeing the horrors inflicted on the innocent ogre clan of Mouj, and through the guidance of Kark and the enslavement of Yeyu, a Chthon in rags, he emerged before them covered in sweat and heavy with opulence in the form of pigs and a giant crocodile on his back. And so they washed, made campfire, and slept by the stream. Our catalyst's eyes opened upon day 74, the day of ever dusk, 24 straight hours of dusk, the day before the coming long night. Traveling through a forest by a stream, alive with thousands of fluttering moths taking to the winds, their pace quickened for darkness loomed behind them, and it was unwise to be in the wilderness on the long night, for that was when monsters crawled and demons spilled into the lands. Long hours passed, following the stream until they came across a strange creature who made camp by the pooling waters. A satyr, a goat man, adorned in various strange piecings on his body and symbols. He called himself Drent and welcomed the bizarre band to share his fire and food as they rested. Drent left peacefully, leaving behind a gift for Raylan Doon. The quickened pace was not enough, for dusk soon became night, and as the long night began, our catalysts took rest beneath the pine trees, and above them appeared thousands of black birds. Raven's eyes watched them, but all was silent. And suddenly, a great flutter of flapping wings as they ascended like a cloud, leaving behind a rainfall of black feathers. All a precursor for those that were to come after. Creatures of alabaster skin, armed with vicious spears and implements of pain and death, descended upon them from the trees, bearing wolf maws. These wolf fairies, Nihangi, ripped into the lost band, the howls of wolves upon the night air, a raven-cloaked warlock among their ranks, spreading fear and corruption through our catalysts. Desperate fighting broke out beneath those gleaming twin eyes of Erman, and finally, a giant wolf of nightmarish size and power burst from the darkness and savaged Visal the ogre. Raylan Doon, horribly wounded in his battle with the warlock, and corruption seeping into his face. Virgil tracked and fell to the pine floor and hacked on the edge of death by daggers of a pool fairy. Kola viciously fighting amongst the treetops, and Sursen fending off the attackers, but separated from the rest of his band. But then, fire came. Out of the darkness, hunters of Oliss, enforcers in masks of terror, armed with fire and weapons, fell upon the monstrous creatures in aid of our catalysts. Raylan, catching the fleeing warlock, savagely finished her off. All was spent, as our catalysts either limped or were carried by the Olissians to the village spoken of by a Kark, and they were led into the Church of Saint Plov, a white wooden building, a Church of Oliss, surrounded by an orchard of cherry trees. There they were safe, and met with Kailan Bram, head of the church. Sursen finally delivered his message from his father Poilpus, and it was revealed that he was to join this order of Oliss. Kailan then spoke to each of the catalysts, inspecting these new survivors before taking them down below into the depths for their initiation trials. In a montage fashion, our catalysts learned of Oliss, but the god of burning absolutions was not as they expected. A cycle passed since their brutal training and being flung into the furnace flames. There, they were found worthy by Oliss, for their flesh did not burn off, and they were welcomed into the Brotherhood of Monster Hunters, the faith of Oliss. As we begin with the stage lights growing dim. The events that transpired after this magnificent baptism in the furnace flames. I would invite our player character Tozer and his catalyst Raylan Dune to perhaps offer a soliloquy from last game's session. An insight as to what Raylan Dune was thinking as he stepped out of the flames, led by an angel of Oliss smelling of cherries. Welcomed by the Olissian congregation. Please continue. And before you do, give a brief character description.
So my character Raylan is a superior human being. He's always thought of himself to be above and better, and he has used that arrogance to take more than he deserves and to delight himself in indulgences that are not at all savory. He stands at 5'11", just under 80 kilos, a regular-looking man, by no means overly bulky or athletically built. However, after the training, you could see that this muscle was tuned to perfection. I trembled upon the edge of the furnace, even after all the training and the meditation, after all the torturing, the fasting, all of it. Still within me, I felt some fear. I was doubtful as to whether I was ready, because I'd came to Oliss weak. I was weak from all my own shortcomings and my desires and all the impulses that I gave into, and I'd compromised for years. And to Oliss, I had to confess my violence in meditation. Oliss looked upon me, and I was judged. I had to pledge my will to his. I had to surrender myself to the flames, and I felt the heat of justice. I felt it surge through me. Oliss knows what I've done. He knows about the murders I've committed, the carnal and visceral crimes I've done to others. He knows that I've lied. Through meditation, I trained to face myself and to overcome my own weakness. And then after being able to face myself, to then face the evils and right the wrongs that I've done and protect the world and realize that and to appreciate that. So as I plunged in to the molten fire, I was in excruciating pain. From my darkness, I felt Oliss poke and prod and rip it from me. He went totally through it. I couldn't tell if I'd let go of my evils or if Oliss had taken them from me. But he's given me a direction and a purpose. It's no longer too late for me, and I can now put my judgment upon the wicked. I see myself, and I don't want that for anyone else anymore. I was surprised when I survived the experience, because still, I have a splinter of doubt. Something lingers, and I think the burning eyes of Oliss still are on the back of my shoulder, and they know this. They've given me the form and function to endure and prevail against that evil, I feel that now the test has only just begun. And now I seek redemption.
Excellent. Excellent. Now, with those thoughts of our esteemed catalyst Raylan Doon, we shall open the scene to the present day. The scene opens. Day 2 of cycle 4023. A full cycle and many days passed since that horrible night. You step outside the halls of Saint Plov, that austere white building, square-shaped, flat-roofed, and as soon as you step out, the glorious sun shines down upon you. You have not felt the light, warm, glorious sun in so long, and you have survived trials. And now that brilliant orb of light, that life-giving light, touches your skin and washes across your form. You're surrounded by a great orchard of cherry trees. Their scents, their fine scents, filling the air, their sweetness. As you hear the chirping of birds, and you catch the forms of these little birds fluttering and flying and darting in all directions, catching small insects and flies that occasionally dart through the area as they chirp happily. It is day 2 of the cycle, the day of Quilican, the day of the planting, the day of the goddess of growth. As you are upon this small hill of the orchard, you are led here by the other Olissians with you. They all don their fearsome masks, and though they are fearsome and terrifying, still they see you as brothers and fellow sisters as they take you through these orchard fields. Kailan Bram in front, Kark is with you, and various others as well, Leonidas. All these you have come to know, all those you have been taught by, all these who have at some point or another branded you with fire and tortured you and denied you food, yet they did it to make you strong. And you look upon yourselves, and indeed you are stronger. You carry something hot within your chest, a burning desire, you could say, as you are led through these fields. And you meet up with a Ferrum, a short Ferrum, a Ferrum being a 4 foot tall, squat, quite broad-shouldered, flat-faced, a very nicely trimmed mustache. He's clean-shaven, and he's wearing opulent robes, and he awaits you, and a small clearing around you in this orchid patch within this orchard, as you are being led. In front is our catalyst Surson. Please, if you would describe your character. Surson Omars.
Oh, bother my microphone. Damn it.
It's okay.
Just this great description. Okay. There's so I'm a Vigish, and my name is Surson Mars, and I'm a Scion of Hell, an Anarchite Scion. I have claws on the front of my fingers, glassy and black. I'm roughly about 5'7", 186 pounds, and my hair is jet black, and I have deep blood red eyes, and horns have now that have fully been recognized by everyone else. Have gone slightly tarnished black from the flames of the fires from beforehand.
Excellent. Following just behind the towering mountain that is Visal. Please describe your character.
I am an ogre. My name is Visal. He isn't a really intelligent character. Like he's not so bad, but you know he's a bit iffy. So his thoughts are quite clear, but when it comes down to it, in the heat of the moment, he is very aggressive and he's very gruff. He likes to break things with his hands and feed the things that he breaks to his pigs, but there's only one left because the other two ran away, and an unfortunate event that happened in the last episode. So now I only have the piglet. Anyway, I am a defender of the innocent. Anything that is being done wrong by people who are innocent, I'm just like, yo, you shouldn't be doing that shit. And I go and fuck them up. And you know, it's just how I am. I'm an honorable fighter. So if I'm up against something that doesn't have a weapon and I have a weapon, I'm either going to put down my weapon or give it one. And then we're going to fight it out like men do. Just boom. Run at me, bro. I'll break you.
Excellent. And as a note to you, your small Chthon slave, you could call it, pet, really, is with you, carrying with him the leash for Isabel, the pig, who is still a piglet, but still quite large. Now almost half the size of this 4-foot Chthon. Chthon is covered in rags. And you noticed he looks a lot frailer than he looked before, as this initiation trial period where you were taken and taught the ways of Oliss, this Chthon was spared death, but placed in a cage, and they forgot to feed him and give him water. And it seems they just managed to remember to free him and give him such. So he's looking quite weak, but he is dutifully following you along with his piglet Isabel. Behind this comedic group, we have Cola. Alwyn, please describe your character.
Oh, quick question for that, Nola. Does Rafon still have the pot and pan?
If he doesn't have the pot and pan, man, he's gonna get a. He knows.
You don't see it. He's not currently holding it. However, he's wearing rags, and there are various pouches and pockets in his rags, so that may be on his person.
There you go. Oh, cool. Yeah, my character. Well, as I've described previously with Kola, he is Arwen, so he's very sort of like stone-like in appearance or whatever, sort of cracked face, horns on the top of his sort of forehead itself, and wings, which are great. But since the trials and tribulations that are going to Oliss, it appears that most of the cracks and damage that he's sustained up to that point have basically been washed away. Healing powers and flames of Oliss have taken care of that. So now, as he walks into the open with the sun glaring bright, he is sort of all over just an ashen black. Just a new man thing.
Excellent. And just behind him, we have Virgil Tracton. Please describe your character.
Scars and wrinkles line my face, but don't let my age fool you. My hawkish body towers over my fellow humans. So as you can imagine, I appear very threatening. And I should, because I am. I'm short-tempered, I'm violent, and I'm ready. Believe me, I'm ready to channel all of my anger and strength into dutiful service of our burning absolution, our God Oliss.
Excellent. That fire burns within your heart after these trials, and you feel empowered for now. As you walk amongst these orchids, you feel as if this is a reward, being out here upon this land of lights, far away from the underworld which dwells below, but now the sun shining down upon you And as you know, the scent of flowers, as the flowers bloom, start to grow quickly, and the scent starts to flow down. It is pleasant as the warm winds kind of glide through and rustles the orchid leaves gently. As finally we have Raylan Dune. You have given us a character description, but you may describe how you're walking or how you're following behind.
Yeah, so I probably didn't go into it before. My character probably appears as though he's in his probably mid-30s. Despite being much older, I still retain quite a youthful look, as though like a veteran that's still kind of somehow got the agility of a young man. I have dark brown hair with just one or two grey hairs in there. You got to look for him, and I'm typically quite clean shaven. Although up until my arrival at this place, I was probably looking a little haggard. I'm now walking quite proudly, and I don't look left and right as much as I used to. I think I used to have a paranoia of something looking over my shoulder, something worried that they would find out that, in the past, back home in Bale, I had been a two-faced person that would, speak of nobility, but I had committed heinous crimes and evils, and so I have learned through my time here at Oliss to kind of shed myself of that, and now have a motivation to shed that guilt and gain absolution through redemption. But there are still times where I feel sick about the things I've done, but know that the only way forward is to walk that path. And so I now carry myself with a little bit more self-respect, and I'm willing to look more people in the eye and see them as equals, rather than the kind of arrogance that I used to carry myself with and treat other people with such disdain. So I'm now a more compassionate looking person. I no longer, force people to look up into the inside of my nose, but I more meet their gaze with a soft smile. It's like my character has done a bit of a 180. So I guess I have a different aura around me. I have a different, I hold a different presence, but still I have quite a harsh discontent for some of the things that I just can't let go of.
Of course. For though the sins of the past may be forgotten, their pain lessened, and these newfound faiths and these newfound beliefs in Oliss have definitely helped in order to stem those fears, those worries, those anxieties. However, they still stick with you. These things are not easily forgotten. However, at least you have managed to attain some sort of meditation and introspect into these things, and perhaps develop ways to counter them. But we shall see as time continues on. As we move the scene, our catalysts are moving towards the middle of this orchid, a clearing, and we see a Ferrum in brown, opulent robes await there for the congregation, saying nothing. Kailan Bram, the Cedar of Oliss, head of this particular order, is in front, and behind with you are the rest of the Olissians, all with their various badges of office, these masks, these horrible masks, which you have come to know to be their true faces. Whatever that must mean, you're led to learn. As Kailan Bram speaks to this Ferrum, Father Grains, it is good that you have come. You see Father Grain give a quick, deep bow. He looks anyone with insight can see that he looks quite intimidated, definitely, but says, "Oh yes, of course, Kailan Bram. It is my pleasure to give the blessings of the goddess of plants for this ritualist festival." And as a note to the rest of the catalysts, as you have been walking, clutched in your hand is that cherry seed which Kark gave you. As you come towards the clearing and stops, Kailan simply turns over and nods. towards the one known as Marot, the ground hand. And you see this great beast of a creature, 7 foot tall and almost 6 feet wide. This thing is a giant of a creature as he thumps and stumbles past you. He grunts, does not say much, and his robes are stained in very earthy stains, as he's not definitely clean and he doesn't smell the best, but perhaps he doesn't smell as bad as perhaps you would expect as he takes out this great shovel. However, the shovel has been sharpened and it looks to be an implement of both war and, of course, an implement could be used for digging holes. And holes he does dig. He digs 5 holes, into these grounds. And as soon as his work is done, the rest of the Olissians await around you, surrounding you as you guys are, you Catalysts are in front. You see Kailan Bram turn to you as soon as the holes are dug. And he turns to you and says, within your hands, you hold those seeds. Seeds given to you by Kark of Clan Abushki. And he nods towards Kark. These seeds are a representation of your faith here, and they will represent your growth within this order, and recognize that you have a home here, have a place here among ours, for you have been found worthy by the fires of Oliss. Your skin was not burnt off in that holy furnace of absolution. It is here that you shall plant these seeds and consecrate yourselves within this holy orchid. This holy orchid and Church of Saint Plov and his legacy. You may step forward and plant your seed. And he moves aside and motions for you to do so. And just as a quick description of Kailan Bram, he's a great robed figure, appears to be human. You know him to be human. He stands at 5'5". He's shorter than most. He appears to be of average build, however that is difficult to say over all those accoutrements of clothing and robes. His whole form is covered in this patchwork robe and cloak. It is finely stitched, but it appears as though it has been weather-worn and ripped on many occasions and has been repaired by hand. His arms are covered in long sleeves and very fine sheepskin gloves sit on his ends. His mask is a grisly sight, taking the form of an arachnid spider with fangs made from real fangs. The mask seems to be made of well-forged iron, and you catch within his eyes shining pits of his eyes as he watches you intently. He does not appear to be visibly armed or armored as the rest of the Olissians here do, but no doubt he holds something dangerous upon him somewhere as he waits. The rest of the Olissians await as well, and it is your scene.
All right.
Step forward to plant our seeds.
Yes.
That's what we're doing now. I'll step forward, the seed outstretched in my hand. And do we just kneel down and dig a little hole for it?
5 holes has already been dug up by Marot, and so it's just a process of you putting your seed inside the hole.
Okay, well I'll kneel down and place the seed in the hole and bury the dirt back over it.
Mm-hmm.
I slowly walk forward. I take the seed out of where I was holding it in my pocket and hold it in my fingers and look down at the hole. And I kneel down next to it and look up at the sun, thinking it's so nice to be out here after being inside in that dungeon for that whole cycle. The warmth of fire is so different to the warmth of the sun. This is definitely a new start for us. And I put it into the hole I cover it, implant my hand in there to leave a handprint in the mound. And I stand up and slowly walk back to the line.
I follow suit as well. I reach into one of my pockets and pull out my seed. I kneel down and place it. I don't let it drop at all. I place it intentionally at the very bottom. And I kind of hold it there for a second and just stare at it. And I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that I've had a chance to realize, realize what I was and have a chance to come back. And I'm so grateful to Oliss for that. And I take, a big, I scoop with my own hands the dirt around it and make sure that it's leveled. And I kneel there for a second longer and just, look around and think, and then I get back up and stand a little back from it, still kind of lingering close to my mound and still feeling quite, I don't know, my character's still quite touched and, has recently kind of come into touch with his own sense of remorse and compassion. So it's very I think my character's still quite a bit fragile from discovering himself and, having purpose.
Kola walks up to the actual mound itself, or whatever, and he has, well, it's hard to actually tell with him for expressions on his face because being stone itself, but he finds it quite an irony that he's bearing this seed that once he was a child, being an Arwen, or once he's a child of Zoust, that burying the dead was seen as noble and sacred to the tradition. But now he's burying something else or whatever, something new that's actually going to grow. And to him, it's very, very strange. But seeing my sort of new faith that's been sort of put before me, and it's a path I choose to take, I lean down and put the seed into the hole or whatever, and then once that's sort of done or whatever, I sort of extend my wings slightly and all that, knowing that I am sort of outside. I don't fly, but just extend and then retract once again and proceed back to the group.
I last of the group, I walk over with my small little seed, and I walks and hesitates just slightly before I place it in, but I push the seed slightly into the earth, inside the hole, and then I draw a small circle around it inside the earth, and then neatly push whatever earth was left of the side on top of it and cover it, and neatly compact it down, and return to the group.
Excellent. You all see the nods of your fellow Olissians as they see this symbol of your initiation, your planting, your establishment within their order as the Ferrum man, Father Grains, in his brown opulent robes. He says, and I pray to Quilican, the goddess of planting, and may these seeds grow strong. May we recognize this great holy orchid and these enforcers which protect civilization and the farmlands, and I give the blessings of the goddess. And he takes out a flask, a copper flask, and he begins to pour this sparkling water on each of the places where he planted the seeds, giving his blessings. And an applause comes out from the rest of the Olissians as they remove their helms, and you see their faces for the first time, and they come and grab you by the shoulders and welcome you and hug you. Kark hugs you all, whether you want it or not, as he comes and sees you. You see the faces of these various individuals for the first time. Kailan Bram, you see he's a human man. He's with pale skin, black hair, and stark orange eyes. You see Leonidas, a satyr, who He is adorned in a great beard, triple braided beard, and a kind of like a brutish face. He looks like he has the face of someone who's been punched in the nose many times, and he's broken his nose a couple of times. But judging by his lumberjack sized arms, you can tell he's one that enjoys close combat finely. As well as a note to you, his arms are covered in scabs and scars, and they look to have like a bit of a pattern, as if someone tattooed his arms with a knife. And he welcomes you, as well as Gadon, Salora, this Ferrum who has a mask of flaming horror. As he takes it off, you see he's completely clean shaven. He has puffy cheeks. As he welcomes you all, you see Xantamia as well. She has long black braided hair, and she looks quite good looking, as Ferrum do go. Ebonai Ipaba, the one you have known. She is a woman, a dark-skinned woman with long, curly brown hair. Her eyes are definitely concerning. Though she has a pleasant smile on her face, her eyes have a very piercing leer to them. And you see Van as well, Van, the other ogre, as he takes off his insect-like multi-hulled pocketed helmet. You see that his face has been horribly burned and disfigured, but he looks at you and he nods approvingly and sees you for the first time, you fellow Olissians, as you all have a chance to have a look around. And below you, you see, as you in this kind of scene where you're all being greeted by these various Olissians and welcomed. You see the village down below, just to the north of the settlement, and you see that great towering spire, that broken mountain in the distance. And I would like anyone who's who would particularly be interested in having a look around the surroundings. Can you please roll me a perception check, site-based?
Site-based.
Yeah, sight. So if you have any fortes in perception sight, then add your bonus. Otherwise, it's just regular perception. Enlightenment plus perception skill. And your 2d8s. Don't forget that ones do not explode and they count as zeros.
Okay.
And
So I got 11.
Okay.
I got 6.
Mm-hmm.
I got 17.
Okay, yep.
About 12.
And Visal.
I don't choose to look around.
Okay, yeah. Raylan Dune, the rest of you kind of take in your surroundings and you see this great village before you. Various tall pine trees in the distance surround this area. You see that waterfall, that stream you followed down as it glistens in the sun. It is about late morning at this time. As Raylan, you start to take in your surroundings and your eyes fall upon that giant spire, that great broken mountain, a spire like a tall structural stone which has been split in half, it seems. And in the middle, it seems there's some vegetation, so it looks like it could be a valley where you could traverse through. However, you definitely notice, you remember quite well, as you've been in this region many times, traveling towards that spire is much taller than it was a cycle ago. Much, much taller. You don't remember it being that tall, so that is information for you.
Okay.
As you see, as you're kind of looking at that, Kark is moved through the crowd and moving up to Visa, saying, "Excellent, my brother! I am so glad to have another one of Kleine Bushki among us. It is good."
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm glad I made it through, my brother. It is good to see you. I feel
Yeah.
cleansed. This fire.
Good.
I feel the power. Oliss, it's around me. These monsters will be cleansed.
That is most good. That is most excellent. And these humans survived as well. I am surprised and pleased. Good. And he kind of like he comes up to you, Virgil, and kind of like hits you, kind of like not hits you, but kind of like taps you on the head really hard. Like, yes, good. It slightly hurts. Like you're being an old man and everything. And if Raylan Doon, if you're anywhere within his reach, then he will go do that to you as well. Sure he does not do it to you
today.
No, that is good. That is good. You see Kailan Bram pipe up say, yes, Kark, humans are not to be eaten. You know of our laws within this town. Yes, of course, but the humans that are barbarians and heretics, those are fair games. It is our rights. Isn't that right, Visal?
It is right. It is all fair game, but my brother, I shall get more than you.
You know our laws, Kark, Visal. The eating of humans is not allowed within our settlement, within our order. But with those, if you have slain, then you may do of which you may do, if they are found guilty.
There's always a loophole, mate.
Yes. And it kind of stares at you like he's quite fucking intimidating. As a note to you, as he kind of like watches you and eyes you, but he turns away and he begins to smile and take in the meetings. Cercino Mars just quickly coming back to the Olissian congregation. The one known as Traken approaches you. He does not remove his mask. He's still adorned in his great robes. He looks kind of circular in shape, and his face is grisly and grinning, and it's quite terrifying. And you see his eyes like bright, luminescent, a mixture between green and stark yellow behind his eyes. You catch it, and it kind of shines slightly as he approaches you and says, "Well, it is interesting to see one of your kind here. Certain Oaz, is it?"
Yes, it is I.
Good. I will be most interested to see what you have to offer. And he eyes you, not saying much. As Raylan, so you've just seen this great spire, like massively tall in distance. As to give you else the scene as well. Switching over quickly to Kola, Xantamia, a small Farron woman, just below 4 foot in height. She approaches to you and says, "Greetings, Kola. It is good to meet you face to face." She looks up.
I respectfully sort of bow. I too.
You notice that she's dressed in much more cleaner kind of clothes. Her robes are much more taken care of. She's wearing armor, like loose fitting armor, and she has like these great pauldrons on the side, and they are engraved, and they are made of iron, and they are engraved with like fiery like imagery and engravings. As she looks upon you, she says, "It is most interesting to see a child of Zaust to become one of Oliss. It is unheard of. Tell me, what brought you to follow the burning absolution?"
And I sort of look at her plainly for a moment and then mention, "I didn't think you'd particularly worry about that, since the fires of Oliss have already cleansed me. But what actually brought me is not your concern or anybody else's still."
"Oh, Very well. I meant no disrespect, my
Of
good
course.
friend.
I only hope I can. Was it serve as well as yourself? Obviously. So I look her up. It was in down all that, and knowing that how she's adorned, or what she is one of the senior members of the Elysian Order.
Yes. Yes, indeed. She kind of gives you an eye. She definitely does take in your form and looks at you very curiously, but then turns her attention elsewhere. And in that moment, you see Father Grains talk privately with Kailan Bram, who moves off with him. They're just having a brief discussion as all you guys are kind of interacting. Kark the Ogre. Kark! Visal! You! And he points to you, Virgil. And you, Raylan! Come here! Cerson! Cola? Yes, Cola! Come here. You shall see what I have pulled together with my might. I have been blessed with Oliss this past cycle, which I have not seen you. Look upon this. And he shows you his mask, his helmet. And it is made of pure gold. It is most interesting. As a note to you as well, Joloff is here with you guys, and he's been mostly quiet, but he's also done a planting siege ritual, and he looks upon this golden helmet. And in the middle of this helmet, you see a large red shining ruby implanted in the middle. And it looks odd because if you put this helmet on, as you've seen, he has put this helmet on before, there is no slits for eyes completely. As a note to you guys, and he says, look at this fine, opulent thing I have been blessed. Perhaps one day you shall hope to achieve such glories and blessings by Oliss, ha!
I asked Kark, what is it? What's the significance? I understand it's a true face of terror, but well, why is this one so different?
Well, and he gets interrupted by Leonidas, the satyr. He comes over. It, Kark, I will say, it is the monster that dwells within us all. This face, you see, these masks are not simply masks. Yes, you are correct. They are significant, but they are a reflection of the inner monster that dwells within us. As you know, we hunt monsters, as you will too.
I feel my my heart starts to ramp up a little as I hear him talk about the darkness inside us, and I am far too well aware of that. Sorry, continue.
And he walks up closer to you as well, like a little bit stalkingly, a little bit like, moving forward a little bit. You see he's wearing a great, what you can imagine is a black wolf cloak. Night black wolf. And as you get closer, you kind of get a slight feeling of like cold or dampness emanating from him slightly as he kind of looks forward. However, his eyes gleam brightly with fervor. And you get a better look at his arms. His arms are like, he has the arms of a lumberjack. However, you get a better look now. Do you have any grades in barber? Can you make me a barber roll?
I do actually. And when I leveled up, I took some extra ones as well. So I've got a 3 in barber.
Okay. So it's intelligence plus barber. Make me that roll,
okay,
please.
do it.
And anyone else here as well, as you guys are kind of around. You can, if you have any grades in barber. If you don't have any grades in barber, then don't make a roll.
I got 12. I got 17.
Okay.
Oh, I have a point in barber. I didn't realize that. Oh well. 12 plus the 1 for the grade.
But Exile, I wanted to say to Leonidas.
Yep.
So So what you're saying is that we can put our darkness and put our monstrous aspects out onto our faces and use them as a weapon against the enemies of Oliss?
Yes, well, and he gets interrupted by Galon of Salora. It is not so simple as that, but perhaps in time, as you grow in piety, you will come to learn such things. Leonidas, I do not believe it is wise to worry these initiates. Though they are strong, they have survived much from what Kark has told us, and from what we've seen. Still, perhaps we should not reveal all secrets just yet.
So
Leonidas kind of looks back at him, and
I say my apologies. I did not mean to pry, and I bow.
Leonidas kind of looks like a little bit, shoots an angry glance at Galon, and kind of turns back to you, and he sees you bowing. He's like, "Oh well, it is no matter. Of course, it is only right that you should ask such things."
I say it is only for the good of Oliss that I have this curiosity.
That's right. After all, this curiosity is what we need in order to hunt those that escape us.
Indeed.
And to, well... And now, I can give you a description of what. So Toza, you got 17 for your barber roll, and Virgil, you got...
13.
13? And who else?
Oh, yeah, I got 11.
We got 11. Okay, so... Kola and Virgil, you see that these scabs look to be they're strange. Like you see that these scabs on his arms seem to have like a symmetrical, kind of slightly symmetrical shapes to them, as if they have been like tattoos, however, have been scabbed over. And you can see evidence of perhaps some cuts and some recent bleeding. However, Raylan, you managed to see that these wounds they show evidence of reappearing, as if these scabs and these scars have at various stages continue to bleed and scab over, bleed, scab over, bleed, scab over, again and again and again.
Am I able to assess whether they're self-inflicted or not? Or would I need a closer look, perhaps?
That is probably too difficult for you to be able to tell,
yeah.
Even with a great barber roll.
Yeah, I'm probably just not close enough realistically to, and probably not like giving him a proper examination or anything.
Yeah, and this would require like a close examination over a long period of time. Definitely not something you can do in this split second.
So
he's going to finish. Leonid says, "Yes, well, it is good that you are curious. After all, curiosity is what leads us and allows us to hunt those that hide in covens and in the dark places. We must be curious. That is a most fortunate trait and necessary for us, lest we fail to be curious." And he talks over you as he wants to kind of get his point across. If we fail to be curious, then... And he looks down at his arms as he kind of looks up to you. Then we may pay the price of our failures and failings. If you need training into such observations and being able to tell threats, then please, you shall please come to me, and I shall dispense upon you my knowledge. We have lost many initiates in the past, like yourselves, men and women, all creatures and shapes and sizes, of strong worth. However, they lack enlightenment. They lack the knowledge and the perception and the knowledge of the wilderness in order to survive and see the obvious signs.
And I say, well, I would be honored, and indeed, it's the light of truth that will set us all free. And I bow.
And he nods and he says, "Do not be formal with me," and he kind of claps you on the shoulder friendly. Not too hard, but a smile comes on his face as you made bit of a connection with him. You can see that he's much more happier. Anyone else would like to butt in at any stage? As a note to everyone as well, just quickly, Ebonai Ipaba, a woman, a human woman, who has that insect-looking face, horrible face mask, but she has it off, and you see her features. She's not the most attractive woman in the world, but not terrible either. She looks to be in about her 30s by our standards, and she just eyes and watches you, inspects you. Leonidas is not armed in any way. He doesn't have any weapons on him that you can actually see. However, Ebony Ipapa has various tools or belts of all sorts of pouches and weapons and all these kind of sort of things. And she walks around, looking around at these new individuals, and she comes to you, Virgil, in this free play moment. Well, excellent. We have one of Tracton. I believe we've had one of your kind here before. There's a trader who occasionally stops by the village. He is a Tracton. I recognize your features.
Another? Did
Yes.
he have another name that he went by?
He went by Kunthan.
Sorry,
Kunthan.
Kunthan.
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Yes. I remember many cycles ago. Regrettably, I was the one who buried his father.
Oh,
He was a
really?
good boy.
Interesting. I was not aware that the tribe of Tracton are so closely. Well, I suppose that makes sense. Someone has to be. I am of Ipaba, if you do not know. My tribe are not from Vale. We originate mostly from Firstport. I'm not sure if you know the name. It is far away. Still, it is pleasant to see a somewhat familiar face.
It's interesting to meet another human this far out. It seems that we are few in number.
Oh, most definitely. Aside from myself, yourself, and Raylan, is it? He looks like a dune. Yes, aside from, which is surprising, as she kind of definitely knows her human tribes. Aside from us three, it seems, there is one human family living within the village down there, a household of Tonna. There seem to be many of them throughout Bale and these regions. However, though, as a note to you, I'm not sure if you have been acquainted. I believe this is the first time you've been out here. There are the people residing within the village down there are mostly of Ferrum. However, they are a kindlier sort than most. We see Father Grains over there, and she kind of motions her head towards Father Grains. This small Ferrum, brown robes, talking with Kailan Bram far off, talking about something. He leads the Church of Quillican, and also in aid of the Church of Lex. These are agricultural divinities, as you know. In services and in community building of Ferrum, they are not the most godly, nor the most pious of peoples. However, I do not believe you should have much troubles here. We have made great efforts to ensure that the Ferrum live peacefully here. This is not a cesspool of Bale. Are you from Bale?
No.
No, you're from Clayport.
Clay-
Which is another city, but there are like some Ferrum ghettos and derelicts. You know, there are like third class citizens, really. But
no, I'm not. I'm from Clayport, where the Ferrum are less than savoury.
of
Yeah, we
course,
say
it seems so when much you're through. It is most interesting. Most interesting. Still, it is good to talk to you, and the fact that you talk to me in such a manner is, well, indignant of your upbringing. You are not a member of the faith of Pelgan, were you not? If you were, well then, I would simply be just another woman, a conquest for you men.
No.
She kind of grins and smiles, but her eyes, she kind of gives you a bit of a stare. And I'm slightly uncomfortable stare, like Julie Bishop kind of stare.
I want to kill him.
Oh no.
Stare of death.
But not angry, but like that seems to be like her regular kind of facial expression.
Yes, indeed. I have had few dealings in Pelgrim traditions. I was once wrongfully a follower of Zoust, but
Wrongfully? Why do you say that?
I do not think that I saw eye to eye with that particular Aron. I find that my place should be here now with Oliss, and the past shall stay in the past.
That is good to hear. Those Zoustians are a grim bunch. Though they do well to protect the dead and the bones, we, however, are agents of light and fire, and we ensure that life continues. Zoustians, though they are forces, we work with them, of course, when they come around to hunt whatever manner of uncontaminated that may spawn its ugly head. We are capable of dealing with such. However, it is good to see that you see that to protect life and light is of greater importance than to protect the dead.
Yes, indeed.
It's good. As in this moment, just kind of like this, you've been having this conversation at the same time. Let's see. Raylan Doon, you feel, as you're talking to Leonidas, you feel a great presence come up from behind you. And you turn because you see this great shadow loom over you, and you turn around and you see Ground Hand Morot behind you, and he looks at you. He has not taken off his mask, and he looks at you and leers at you really close, and you can smell him. He doesn't smell pleasant. He doesn't smell as bad as you might think. He smells of the earth and like a little bit of like feces and manure slightly, but mostly of burning and cherries. Strange mixture, as he kind of leers in and takes a good look at you. And he doesn't say any words, but he just says,
And I don't shy away. I stand there and, let him into that personal space and just say, Morat, are you well?
Doomkrak. And he speaks in Morghulish, which you know to be the words, you afraid. And
Sorry?
he speaks this.
What
Are
was-
you afraid? He says in Morghulish.
And I respond in Morghulish, and I say that fear exists to teach respect. Without fear, we are reckless. Fear exists for a reason.
And he grabs you. He goes and reaches for you, and he grabs you. And as he holds you, Leonidas kind of looks at you, but like doesn't do anything. He just stops and stares at you as he just grabs you and starts to pull you.
How does he?
His hands is so massive.
Where does
he
he
can like
grab
reach
from?
around your shoulder, by your shoulder, and kind of by your neck. So he kind of like grabs you. And kind of pushes you like up to the side against a cherry tree. And he kind of pulls you over here, and it kind of reaches you out there. And
I say Morghulish. Well, yes, and I'm learning fear and respect now, but I've just spent 2 chains in the hole. I've just been through some fire. If you're going to crush me now, you should have done it then.
As Leonidas just calls out, just as you just get grabbed by this big monstrous thing, and he just says, do not try anything. And he says to you, Raylan, as you feel his hand upon your neck and shoulder begin to warm, and through your body you feel like a warm warm/cooling sensation begin to flow, as if you're being washed and reinvigorated. And he says, and you feel like you're being, the closest word is probably blessed. However, in such a fashion, it's like it definitely takes you a second. And all you guys see this as well, as you see.
So I'm probably about halfway through my sentence, saying you probably should have. And then I stop and I've realized what I'm feeling, and I'm just, my eyes just widen, and I'm staring at him, and I relax. My body relaxes, and I feel it.
And he says the words in Morghulish after, and his eyes, when he did this, his eyes kind of sparked wide, almost blinding white light out of his eyes.
After a couple of seconds after I feel it, I stop myself and I say back in Morghulish, I say, I am sorry. I am afraid.
And you start to feel calm and tranquility flow through you. And he grabs you and he just says the words in Morghulish, Kruknak, no fear. And he lets go.
And I respond and say, no fear. Okay. And I'm nodding and I'm, And
he looks at you for another uncomfortable 4 seconds, and then he turns and, dragging his spade/axe, the sharpened spade.
I stand right where I am, and I kind of just look down at my own body and kind of just think about what just happened. I'm kind of still a bit stunned, and
good.
And while standing there, and I turn my head and I remember that Leonidas had said, "Don't try anything," and I just say, "Leonidas, what did Marat just do?" I say, I feel.
I say, you did well. Do not try anything because he would crush you. But it is good.
I'm laughing and I say, I believe so.
Perhaps you have not known. That is the one we know as Ground Hand Marat. He is second of our order. He is the keeper and protector of this Olissian church, and he eats fear. It is good.
He must go hungry around here.
Yes. Sometimes he does. So he wanders.
It's good that Kark brings new initiates then.
That's right. But as well, sometimes he wanders into the village, and no matter how many times he eats the fear, more fear grows as that greatness goes from door to door. We've had some troubles in the past. However, you shall show him, and he kind of puts on a more serious face to his demeanor. You shall show him respect. He is second of this order, only under Cedar Kailan Bram. He is greater than all of us. He is blessed and holy by Oliss, chosen by Saint Plov himself, the founder of this church, thousands cycle ago. But you shall learn more about such things. Come, my friend. He taps you across the shoulder. As the scene slightly changes, as Kailan Bram, Father Grains moves off, and Kailan Bram comes back to you all, and he says to you, well, new initiates I bestow upon you. And he takes out these great green cloaks, 5 of them, and he hands them to you, these opulent green cloaks. These are symbols of your new standing within our order. And I will ask you this question. And he stares at you with those orange, bright orange eyes. Which of you shall take up the path of the priest?
I step forward. Say, I will.
He nods.
I step forward as well and bow my head, like not full body bow, but just nod my head down and say I pledge myself.
Very good. And you wait. Anyone else?
I decide after a time to sort of walk forward and just I'm just looking towards him and sort of nod, just a slight nod.
Good. What of you, Sersin? You take up to become trained in the ways of the clergy.
I will not fail this order. I will not fail at all.
It is good to hear. Visal, what of you?
I feel uncertain as I know that I can perform my duties that I need very easily without being a priest. But after a while of consideration, I offer myself, say, yes, I shall spread the word of Oliss, and I shall crush our enemies.
Excellent. And you, Jolof. And Jolof stands tall, his back straight, his chin up, clean shaven now. Yes, I wish to wield the power of Oliss, and I wish to fight against those who wronged me and fight against those who wrong all. This is what I seek. Very, very well. As the scene changes, as to give you a little bit of a recap as to what has transpired. Actually, no, we're going to move into this next scene as you are led down below after this initiation scenario. You are led below into the pits of absolution, your home, where there you are taken into training various kinds as you are taught various skills of blacksmithing, of theology. You are taken into a great library. However, this library is not filled with books and bookshelves. This library is filled with tablets of stone, and upon those stones, as you slide them out, written are various teachings of Oliss and various other knowledge, as you are taught the ways of the gods of the other forces, and engraved upon the stones of the writings in Moghulish, a language where you've all learned how to read and write, and indented into these words is ash. And you are able to read of these tablets, and as the fires of the great furnace begin to burn strongly, as many days pass, as you are taught through this training, as Xantamia comes among you and leads you through these different texts, and she teaches you of the gods. She teaches you of all this more sacred things. You learn of the true face of Olissians. That face, which is the greatest nightmares that dwell within everyone's souls, and that is taken, and that fear is turned into hatred and rage and strength, and that is what it means to be an Olissian. And you also taught different methods in recognizing the occult, recognizing creatures of darkness, and also give you another degree of angle and degree of understanding of how big this cabin is. you see at various points in the distance, you see a massive expanse. For this underground cavern is just a small part, this training area, this Olissian underground prison, and you can still hear the screams of other torturers and screams of other prisoners amongst this place, but now that is dulled and numbed, for you have grown used to such things as you are able to gain your bearings and look about, and there are many tunnels and passageways and caverns leading in all directions. However, one such tunnel and passageways leads to a great expanse such as this, and in your many days of training and learning, Kola, you do occasionally fly and stretch your wings in these underground caverns and passageways, as this is like a second home to you, as you feel comfortable along here. However, we come back to the pits of absolution as Kailan Bram approaches you all, as you are taught the ways, you are treated finely, you are given clothes, you are able to be washed. Those of you who need to be washed in waters, there are streams where you may wash and do so. Those of you who wash yourselves in fire, sirs, you may of course do that as you clean yourselves and you keep yourselves proper, as you are taught the crafts of the blacksmith, as you are taught by Joloff as well, helping you and aiding you in these tasks, and Galore and Salora, who aids you in these tasks of teaching you what metals to use and how to fix armor, for this is important and paramount for if you are worthy enough to become a greater standing Olissian within this temple, then one day you may forge with your bare hands the mask, that true inner demonic self, and appear it and display it upon your face, and that holy face you will bring to bear upon your enemies, and they will recognize you to be an enforcer of that which hunts the darkness, as in a montage style fashion. And as well, during this period, you see the Chthon you run about with small buckets of water, giving it to prisoners and giving it to you catalysts, as he runs along, and finally you manage to find a good use for this creature, this cretin, as he runs about, still taking care of Isabel the pig, as he knows that to partake in the flesh of that pig is to mean death at the gruesome hands of Visal. As he runs about in this scene, and those of you who wish to be taught the ways of perception, the ways of outdoors, and be able to hunt, go along with Leonidas, who takes you on these great walks, who teaches you to track, who teaches you to spot signs of movement, signs of various creatures, those of natural and usual creations, and those of darker purposes, of wolves and other fouler creatures, and to avoid certain fruits and vegetables and other growths and fungi as well, and other places, if as well as those who, and you, Raylan, with the barber Xantamia, takes you within into the various torture pits, and there you are able to experiment on recently deceased bodies, and to cut them into pieces and dissect them and observe and learn these new ways, the ways of the flesh, the ways of the barber, as you're taught signs and training which you have known, but you learn much greater things, for bodies are in great supply among these places, to be sure. As finally Kailan Bram approaches you all. Good. Your training seems to be going well, I see. Galon and Joloff say, yes, they are learning just fine. Kola is, and Kola, like, the process of learning blacksmithing for you is particularly extremely difficult. It takes you quite a while longer, but you do manage to get there eventually. And though it's difficult in your mind to concept and kind of realize why you would ever need to know such skills. After all, why would you want to weigh yourself down with heavy things when you can fly free? But you understand, you were taught that this is for a great purpose. As Kailan Bram approaches you all and he says, "Come, you all." And he beckons to you all. "Follow me." A priest has come to teach you the first ways of our order. You will learn much from him. And you are led off down into a secluded area of the caverns where you meet and see a strange creature. Creature such as this. You see a white, pale white creature who is has no clothing, nothing upon himself. However, his eyes are black and beady. He has various frills, 3 frills on each side of the back of his head. They look as if they look like gills. And he stands upright, but occasionally likes to moves around on these 4 feet. He looks to be like a lizard. However, he's not with scales. It is pale skin. It's like a skin sort of texture as he greets you and slowly bows his head as he awaits you. He is by a fire, a great fire, a flame of Morgul, and very close by you can see this great furnace which heats this entire cavern, as you see various other Olissians and other caretakers within this church throw coals into this furnace, keeping it burned, keeping this entire section of the cavern warm and alive as they tend to that furnace, that holy furnace. And he greets you and he says, "Kailan Bram." Kailan Bram leads you to him and says, "Most devout servant of flame, I present to you these who wish to learn the ways of the fire." And he turns and leaves you to this creature. As you regard him, and he regards you, but he does not say anything. He awaits you to speak. And as he watches you approach, he absently puts his hands and flows it around this fire, this small fireplace, and there's like this small ditch where there's like various coals thrown into it, and he kind of warms his head as he watches you approach, and he waits.
As we approach, can I, well, seeing that I've just been sort of trained in the fact of getting readings of sort of people at this point, can I sort of, I don't know, give a perception roll on, I guess, his mood, anything like that?
His mood? They'll probably be more insight.
Insight,
yeah, you can give it insight. You can give it insight roll. If you have 0 grades in it, it's a -4, but if you do have at least 1 grade, then it's just regular.
Yeah.
Any of you with academics can roll academics to see if you recognize. Certain Mars, roll academics. However, you would probably know what this is, as you may have seen these many times before in your background. But give me a roll anyway. Let me know your totals.
I got a 13.
Got an 8.
Okay.
I got an academics of 14.
Okay. And anyone else? Anyone else?
No.
Nope. Okay. So, Raylan, and I would even say Cerson, you didn't roll too well, but you know this creature to be, you have seen one before in the cold cave, and he was adorned in red robes, marking him as a priest of Morgul. But that's all you know. Raylan, you see this as, you kind of catch a name, you think it's called a salamander.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that they are, it's difficult. You don't know too much about it at all. You've definitely never seen one before. But however, it's quite obvious the traits about it, and you think he's somewhat associated with fire. But as you know, he's basically putting his hand inside the fire and kind of like.
So that kind of confirms my suspicion.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. As he approaches, he just waits. He just sits there, kind of hunched slightly. He's not very big. He's maybe 5 foot in height if he stands upright. He's quite a small creature. As he sits there and waits as you all approach.
I walk up to him and say, "Fire Tamer, are you the master we seek?"
Yes, I am that which you seek of fire.
You will teach us the ways of how to control flame and how to not feel it on our skin.
I can teach you such ways. And he speaks, his slow, grumbling, grinding of his voice. I can teach you such ways, but what is it that you will offer me for such knowledge?
I offer you that your teachings will burn all that I come across that have done wrong by Oliss. All of their souls will be offered up to him. Your teachings will be their undoing and the survival of this order.
That is good. However, though you do serve the greater purpose of Morgul in that, still, perhaps you may give me your name.
I am
And
Bizel.
And you hail from a clan.
I come from Clan Victor.
Interesting. Then, for this information which you have given me, I will give you my name. I am Greek O Thruk Cynthius Kraxik. And he waits. He does not say anything. He just waits and looks. He's just sitting casually by the fire. He's playing with it, and the flames of the embers are flickering off and giving ambience into this tunnel cavern. In the distance, you can hear the shuffling of coal as you see one ogre servant begin to shove coal and throw it in the furnace. But that's all you hear as he just sits there and waits, and he looks at you, Kola, inquisitively. Arwen, yes?
Yes. You'd be correct.
And he watches you. He kind of inspects you for a little bit.
And I stare right back at him. Wasn't trying to get a read on him, but I can't. Strange.
Yeah. Yeah. Please. Yeah. What was your perception? Your insight roll. Sorry.
13.
13. It is difficult to make out anything simply because you did roll decently. However, this creature you've not seen before, and his mannerisms are so very odd. But you can see that he is at least. You've noticed that his muscles, because he's not wearing clothes, you can kind of see the muscles on his body, and just by his body language, you don't see him being very tense. So just by looking at that, seeing that his muscles aren't very tense, you don't see him. If he was very tense and very angry, then perhaps his muscles would bulge out a little bit more, or his stomach would kind of like flex a little bit, or as people do. And you've been around many ogres, and you've seen them flex and become very big and very flexible when they get very agitated. So you don't notice that about him. So you may kind of deduce that he is relaxed, but That's all that
That's
perhaps
all.
you can glean. The Virgil, Tracton, Circin, Mars, Raylan, you're here, of course, and you're.
So I approach the salamander, and I attempt to say his name, and I don't know if I need to roll for that or not.
Yeah, like go ahead. Try to do it. Go ahead. Roleplay.
I say, I apologize if I mistake your honor here, salamander. It is an honor to meet you, Creeksiakrukurtsi. I am Raylon of Dune.
You know that I am a salamander? You know of this. Interesting. Good. Interesting. However, that is not my correct name.
I bow my head and I
But
say my
you-
apologies. I am not familiar with the with the tongue of your people.
But you... That is fine. But you have given me your name. And in fair trade of giving me your name and your clan name, I will repeat my name. Kriko Thruk Cynthius Sixhau.
Crook through.
It is incredibly those of you with academics, any decent grades, at least 3 grades in academics.
I've got three grades in
recognize-
academics and 3 grades in
You recognize-
languages. Give me
you
a break.
Yeah, you recognize that his name is Thuban, and this is very typical for Thuban names to be this fucking long and annoying as fuck. But there you go. But I would just repeat, you do catch that his first kind of name, and with your 3 grades academics, you kind of notice as well that in most cases, those who do not speak Thuban usually just call him by the first thing they say. So Creek or Kriko is probably what you managed to catch. And that is usually seen as being fine. So the scene is for you. And Cerson, so you've seen this, you know this to be associated with the temple of the priests of Morgul. But that is all you know. As we mentioned earlier, and Virgil, you're there as well, so free roleplay. And he says, the salamander says, good, well, I see you have a Vigish among you, but he is not of your purity. He is different. Interesting. Tell me, who are you and what are you?
Yes, I am a mix of a blood ritual from my father's blood from House Cercin and
Blood
of
ritual.
an angel of Anarchite,
A
forging
scion.
from our senators tried to advance our race to a better perfection.
You are a scion of hell. Interesting. You give such knowledge freely. It is
We are
perhaps
among brothers at the
unwise.
moment.
Perhaps. Maybe one day you will come to learn that such knowledge is to be valued and traded for fair trade in knowledge. However, you have sated my curiosity, and you may sit with me by this fire, by this flame of Morgul. But you, man, and he kind of slowly turns his head towards you, Virgil.
I step forward and I take a knee. I am no great one, Salamander. I am but a man, but I have pledged myself to the service of Oliss and the assistance of your god, Morgul. And I will do whatever you will have me do so that I can fulfill my duty.
Your name?
Virgil of House Tracton, and I sort of avert my eyes and stare to the ground. It's a sign of respect.
Your respect is well met and greeted. Very well. You have given me interesting knowledges, and I will repay for you in kind. I am a priest of Morgul from Fort Ghetto, south of here. The reason, if you are unknown of my kind, if you do not know my kind before, I am a creature of Morgul, a creature of fire, and fire is to be respected, for it is the warmth that resides within us all. And he speaks to you in Morgulish, obviously. And through the fire, cold is banished, and darkness kept at bay. Oliss, of which you all belong to, is a beloved, if somewhat childish, son of Morgul. Only the fires of the Ring of Fire may keep darkness at bay, but Oliss serves this will of Morgul faithfully, and as such, the blessings of the thousand faces upon you may each smile upon you. I have come here called by your head and leader Kailan Bram to teach you the sacred precepts of Morgul or fire. You have given me much interesting knowledge in return for such teachings. However, I shall wish to ask of more things of you to sate my curiosity. After all, I am a child of Morgul, and like fire, I will give my warmth and protection and presence if you give unto me proper sacrifices. Do not misconstrue my words as greed. It is fair and just, justly fair. Look upon this fire. I have given it coal, sacrificed coal upon the flames, and thus the flames give me light and warmth. In this way, this is the way of Morgul. This is the way of fire. This is the only way. The first lesson that you will learn. You must equally give if you are to receive. This is the first lesson of the precepts of fire. And he takes you through a montage-style fashion as he teaches you these fundamentals of fire and flame, as you are taught to wield fire, to understand its roots, to meditate, and through his slow, crackling, serpentine tongue, he teaches you these various theological and practical uses of these words, of these teachings, these fundamental basic teachings of fire and wielding it. And after many days and days and days and days and days pass as you are taught the precepts of fire, you are taught how to cast great ritual and flickering arts, how to create fire and burn it from your fingertips, how to meld it to your body, how to stop it from corrupting and burning and singeing your flesh, as you're taught these arts, and as well to be able to give yourself these sacred benefits of fire as you practice and meditate on these words. He leaves you bowing deeply, and he walks off into the great catacombs. And in this scene, this montage scene of you learning the basic fundamentals of fire and being able to cast these spells, these rituals, and understand this basic fundamental teachings, as you return after much study and preparation to your previous studies as you learn back to the blacksmith, back to the coal fires, back outside in the wilderness learning, back to the teachings of the barber, back learning the ways of spelunking, back into a library of stone tablets and etched in ash as another teacher comes. Kola, you fly across this great expanse of this underworld cavern system on your many trips to exercise your wings, as it were. And you spot from the darkness of the expanse a figure comes. His presence is preceded by a lantern. You see what you can only deduce to be a walking humanoid fly. A man, but with the head of a fly. You see he has hundreds of concave eyes. He's wearing an armored chainmail robe that crinkles slightly as he walks. He carries a glass lantern and a copper Lucian hammer, and he travels towards the caverns of the Olissian congregation. And you see this, and he sees your presence. And he calls out to you. Just a quick question: do you make your presence known, or do you approach him, caller?
Yeah, I'm still in the air at this point, aren't I? I'm just observing from the air.
Yeah. He
yeah.
doesn't seem to have seen you. Yeah.
I haven't seen me yet. Well, the thing is, if he... Oh, yeah, no, I slowly was a descent towards his locale, because I want to know. I'm curious to who this is. Because I imagine I haven't seen them before at all. This is the first time I've...
Oh, no.
No,
definitely not.
No, I definitely
As you come flapping your great wings down, he suddenly jerks up and looks at you in an extremely quick motion as perhaps one of his billion concave eyes catches your coming. And he sees you. And for a moment, he lowers his Lucian hammer towards in a defensive stance. However, he quickly relaxes as he comes and watches you. He says nothing, but he waits for you to come closer. And as you come closer, you see he's adorned in, he's wearing an armored chainmail robes, crinkled slightly, and upon his vest and his tabard tunic that kind of hangs down below him, you see a gloriously weaved blue star. You can roll me theology if you so do wish.
I haven't won it. Cool. Oh, 21.
Oh, excellent. You're instantly recognize. In fact, it is a coincidence that you have just read a tome, a text about the angel of hell, he who has many names. You instantly recognize that. Like, this is a follower of that. This is a follower of he who has many names. And just give you a description of this great underground cavern. You know, there are various glowworms about, luminescent fungi, and strange other things. As this creature begins to approach up the path towards the Olissian underground caverns, as he sees you come down and approach, he says, greetings. You are in Arwen. It is good to see you. And when he speaks, he has like saliva upon his mouth. As if, you know, he's just talking with his mouth is wet and kind of sucky. As you look upon this creature. Greetings.
No, I sort of say to him was hello, was it follower who has many names? I've not seen you down here before.
No, you have not seen me down here. This is most This is my first time making such a travel through these lands, but I was guided by the visions granted by the great angel, and I see you to be an Arwen. Tell me, are other followers of Zoust around here? I have not been told of their presence in these caverns. It is most interesting. And he kind of jerks, and he kind of twitches. His motions are very jerky and twitchy. He kind of eyes you up and down.
Right. And I say to him, this is a cavern of Oliss. There are no people of Zoust down here. And if they were, they are no longer.
Interesting. You follow Oliss?
Yes. Burning Absolution are no longer, well, I see you must be confused seeing that I am an Arwen. And born from Zoust is one of our natural sort of states, but no longer. I no longer need any help from Zoust.
Interesting. It is good. You are welcome with me, and I travel to the Olissian Church of Saint Plov. Will you lead me there? I must speak with Kailan Bram.
But of course. But and as beforehand you said I just recently read a tome about who has many names or whatever, and this is my first sort of encounter, and being the sort of still young Arwen I'm interested to sort of find out. So, I've recently read was about He Who Has Many Names, and you've asked me about my origins as into Zoust himself. May I ask, was it your reasons for following the angel?
I am a Twill. I am that which is born from the blood of angels, as no doubt you will continue to read and learn, such being a valued member of the Enforcers. And I apologize if I am speaking of such things which you already know. However, my peoples were created when the first flies feasted on the angels who fell upon each other in the glorious days when the sun and the night battled in the night sky. I am descendant of those flies, given such power. It is good that you know such things. I follow the great angel. It is my divine purpose that I do so, for he is the future of existence.
At this point,
And
I just extend my hand. Was it towards him? Was it go pointing in the direction of the actual temple we're going to?
And as you walk, you do glance at what is holding this lantern, as it does catch your eye. And as he'll come and meet with the rest of you, other catalysts, in the next scene, you see that his lantern is made of copper primarily. However, there is glass encased within this lantern on the outside, and glass itself is a very precious and rare commodity in itself, very valuable, very rare. And inside the lantern does not glow a fire, but instead a delicate, brilliant orb of light dances within this lantern, like a feathery sort of orb of light just dances and sways inside this lantern, and it gives off some much light, actually, a pleasing amount. However, as he comes, and the rest of you see this creature approach, Kola leading him to Kailan Bram, and there's a great sway of activity in this underground caverns as hunters are coming and returning from their battles, bringing prisoners to be burnt, and other spoils of their battles and their hunts. As he meets with Kailan Bram, and they talk privately. And yeah, Oliss, you're seeing. The rest of you are currently in the library with Xantamia and speaking and learning these texts and reading these sacred tomes, and you see this creature. So it is your scene.
Right. So he's having a conversation. All right. I'm wanting.
He kind of walked off with Kailan Bram and
Yeah.
kind of left you. So you kind of like do whatever you want, really.
I'm kind of still quite curious about his presence here. I don't want to just like walk into the outer room with Kailan Bram himself was there, but is there any way for me to sort of, I don't know, I guess eavesdrop more than anything else?
No, absolutely. Give me stealth.
Uh-huh.
Give me a stealth roll.
That's when my dex isn't at 3, so I had 9.
Okay. Plus your stealth ability. The total is 9.
I don't try. Sorry, that's hiding. So that's another 6. So that's 12.
12. Okay. And can you please also give me a perception, hearing kind of roll?
Sure.
It's kind of like 2 rolls you're gonna be put together.
Yeah, and that would be, and that's 2, so that's 11.
11. Okay. So you do manage to kind of eavesdrop a little bit, and in such a way where you're not instinctively, it doesn't look so obvious that you are doing so, and the Kailan Bram and this Twill, who has not yet introduced himself to you, is walking with Kailan Bram. They're kind of like walking towards somewhere, and you're kind of catching a few words as Twill is saying, "Yes, well, you are certain of this, Kailan Bram." And Kailan Bram says, "Yes, it appears so. The church led by the High Crows, this Church of the Coup, seems indeed to be linked with the events that took place on the clan of Mouge. Most interesting." And you just catch those kind of words as they move off. And the rest of you, it's kind of like open, a bit of an open scene for the rest of you to kind of do what you want. If there's anything specifically you want to have a look at or read about. In addition, I'll just take this opportunity as a quick lapse in this scene, as what you see is Xantamia unravels before you a great map. The rest of you on Cola, you come and join in and kind of see on Xantamia unveiling his map. She says, "And this, of course, is the world of which we live in. Kavega Thale in Thraxu, for bound by time and ringed by fire. And of course, to gain your bearings, we lie within this country of Thru, near Bale, just north of the Red River." And as he kind of shows you these various maps, and this is incredibly interesting. Like, as you guys have academics, you've seen a few maps, but this is the most detailed, amazing map of the world which you've ever seen. These are a rarity, a complete rarity, as these things have to be hand drawn and they have to be completely like hand choreographed by people who have to travel across the entire world, as she takes you through various maps. And this, just to give you a brief understanding of where we sit, we lie within this country of Thru upon these maps. These maps will be a lot more recent. We are, of course, within Western Thru to the west. In Central Thru, you see, we have the great city of Bale, the northern bank and the southern bank. And of course, down below that, you see the great desert of Ash, which begins there. And Visal of Clan Bushki, of Clan Victor, sorry, you also recognize this great mountain to the north of Eastern Through. This is the Mountain of Mool. This is where the birthplace of the ogres, as you were taught and shown on the map, that great mountainous region, this mountainous plateau which seems to go on forever. And various other places, as you see various places of note, of interest, and of course the great city of trade far, far to the east, the center of trade and mercantile ship, as she shows you these kind of maps and teaches you of these different areas of different places where they may find other covens of Olissians, where and other bits of information for your pleasure and for your knowledge, just to ground yourself. And she brings out then another map, a smaller map, as you're able to zoom in further into this current region of which you lie within. Here. Now this map will stay here. You shall not have a map like this upon your person at any stage. There is only one map of its kind here, for secrecy of this place is paramount. We reside within the place marked as the village. And no, I will answer your questions which you have asked me many times before. This is named a village, the village. It has no name, and the reason it has no name because we have many enemies that would come and seek us out. That would come and burn this temple down. This is a sacred place of the enforcers. This is a safe haven, far away from the main roads and far away from the main cities. This is a spear into the dark forest. As you see the drawings of that massive monument of that dark forest that spans an entire continent's length, as you given this and you're able to commit this to recent memory. As you look upon this map, you see the various different features upon nearby. You see the stream which flows in the dark forest and true luck. The peppered fields below that. You see the whipping woods, the ogre village of Mouge, and of course your home ogre village, Visal, the ogre village of Victor, just to the east of the village, which is great interest to you, no doubt, as you're being shown and taught all these things. As we return back into the scene, and the Tawil approaches you with Kailan Bram leading him, and he says he sees you. Bram says, "These are the new initiates of which I have called you here for. Adriel looks upon you, and you see this strange creature, the rest of you. You see his lantern, he's carrying with himself that light orb, and this strange Lucian hammer. And he's adorned in those chainmail robes. He says, "It is good to see you all. It is good. My name is Adriel Mammon. But before I teach you the ways of the precepts, I would ask that." And in this moment, Raylan Doon, are you there?
Yes.
In this moment, this entire day, as you've been teaching and learning in this library, you've been feeling that ache, that urge in the back of your mind begin to seep again. You've been fighting it, and being down here amongst these Olissians, it helps. You're able to concentrate and meditate and force of will. However, the stronger you resist against this, the further it begins to seep, as you begin to perhaps feel a slight headache, as and it culminates as soon as this creature, this strange-looking thing, really, approaches you, and you kind of feel this in the back of your mind, and you're barely able to concentrate on what this thing is saying, this Twill. And then suddenly the Twill stops and jerks its head and looks at you, Raylan Dune, and kind of steps forward quickly, and then says, and he says in strange language, his eyes flare up into blinding orbs of sunlight as completely, for a second, you are completely blinded. As Raylan Dune, you are taken aback as you see this blinding flash of light. The rest of you see it as well, but to you, Raylan, this thing just goes like a flashbang, explodes in your face, and he says, "What is this?" And he points towards you, Raylan Dune. As you take a second for you feel concussed, and instantly, within that moment, that feeling, that urge dissipates instantly, as if it's been ripped from the back of your head. However, you kind of like sit there shaking a little bit, and he says, and you see the rest of you, of any grades of insight, can easily see that this Twill is extremely agitated as he says, "What is this? Take him!" And Kailan Bram motions towards you to seize Raylan Dune. Gives you the order to grab him as Raylan is just kind of stunned.
I've been concussed or something by the light, so I can't really control.
Yeah, so you're kind of like stunned for a round, if you will.
Yeah.
The rest of you kind of see, "Take him," and the scene, Raylan and Kailan says, "Seize him," he says forcefully.
Well,
Okay.
as soon as he mentions, I walk right over to Raylan Dune and clasp him by the shoulder, and just sort of look at him, and sort of bewildered at what's going on, but knowing that I have to follow what Bram says.
As he does, as you kind of grab him, Raylan, it kind of comes back out of your concussed state as your eyes begin to readjust from the blinding glare that was inflicted upon you, as you find yourself being grabbed by your fellow companions, by your fellow Olissians, and Kark appears as well, and he also grabs you.
I'm confused. What's happening?
Bring him to me. And he kind of comes closer towards you, and he looks deep inside your eyes, and he speaks words in Aramazian, if any of you understand his language, just old, extremely and his eyes, instead of a blinding glare, they begin to glow, but like brighten in intensity, and his billion concave eyes begin to focus upon you as he looks to be inspecting you, Raylan Dune.
And I'm there. I'm still kind of bewildered. I'm saying, "What's happened? Why are you holding me?"
What does he actually say? Like, I can speak better because I'm an angel.
Oh yes, he says he makes a prayer to he who has many names to give him. He says basically like, "Great angel of the depths, give me the sight to see those evils." And you hear him say that, and he looks at you, Raylan Dune, and scans you with those billions of eyes. As you stay there stunned, you can't help but feel
I'm paralyzed with fear.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. As he looks upon you, that he sees. Then he steps back slightly. He's still watching you, but his tension begins to slightly down as that's Kailan Bram steps forward and steps kind of between you and him, slightly on the side, and he says, "What is it, Adriel?" "I'm not sure. There was something behind. No. It is not there anymore. Strip him," they say. And Kailan nods. "Do it. Strip him entirely."
Sorry, Raylan.
Well, we gotta do it. And was it clasping at his cloak or whatever and ripping it right off?
I say nothing. I stare at Kailan for 1 second, then back to Adriel, and I'm not protesting. I'm just still like, I mean, I carry a lot. Yeah.
I stand behind you as if to stop you from trying to run away if you try, and I say, like, whisper into your ear, "Stay calm, my brother. This will be over soon. I'm sure you will be okay."
Oh. Sorry.
As we continue to strip him entirely, throwing his clothes from the earth or whatever.
That's right. It's ripping off his breastplate of Pelgan, and all his accoutrements. And like you're stripped completely. I mean, your undies, everything, you're gone. You just stand there naked, swinging in the wind, if you will. As Mr. Will.
Good thing I carry the warmth of Oliss and don't get cold.
Indeed. You can't. As Twill, this Adriel Mammon Bao looks upon you and again inspects you, but. And he looks at the pile of clothes and gear that's been kind of thrown on the floor, and he kind of looks upon it, and he with his oar pike, he kind of kicks and moves around different pieces as if inspecting each individual piece of clothing that he was wearing, and each individual piece of item, and he looks around and. Anyone with any grades of insight can see that he's becoming increasingly frustrated, as if he's looking for something but unable to find what it is. As he again glares at you, Raylan Dune, but he says, "It seems that perhaps there was something here. Never mind. Burn his clothes. Burn this pile. Burn it, throw it into the furnace. All of it. Give him new accoutrements. Perhaps there was something clinging to this. We should take no chances here."
And for a second, I look at for a second when he says that, I feel like a pang of, like, like quite possessive. Looking at my fine breastplate and. I would presume my weapon as well.
Yes, a weapon. And at that moment, just when he says that, he says, "My apologies, Raylan." Actually, sorry, he doesn't know your name yet. "My apologies, human." That's... And for a second, like, his gaze kind of goes down again towards the sword at his feet. This sword of Pelgan. This broadsword of humanity and its greatness, and he looks upon it, and he bends down and takes it with his strange three-fingered clawed hand, and he takes it and he holds it. And he just kind of looks upon it, and he speaks in Aramazdian, and you hear this, and the rest of you don't understand. "See to it that he's clean," he says. "See to it that he's clean, ye hear, Certain." And he speaks in his strange language, and he thrusts this sword at you, Raylan, and says, "Keep this to you. Keep it safe and keep it close to you at all times. It is of aid.
I
Never he says forcefully, interrupting you, never allow it to leave your sight.
I nod my head. I am afraid to talk to. I have fear of this creature now. I am. Yeah, but I'm also curious, and I know, like, I have a good feeling of why I was inspected. I have quite a, I don't think my character's an idiot about it. He's very aware of himself. I think he knows I'm hiding something, but I also know that I guess made my peace with Oliss, and so I'm not sure how to react to this. I'm not sure how to react to this Adriel. So I don't know if I can trust him, and part of me wants to confess as I have confessed to Oliss, but
Indeed, as we change scenes, as all this Kark gathers up all this clothes, all your breastplate, all your fine opulent shit that you've acquired, and throws it into the
My
furnace.
coins.
All of it burns, everything, all you had on you, this fur pelt,
fine.
burned, completely, just utterly gone, and
Still kinky.
that's right. All of it is gone and taken, absorbed by more ghoul, and you stand there, but not cold because you're near the furnace, but definitely feeling very unclothed and uncomfortable. As Joloff comes and he throws a great red kind of linen thing, like a bit of a linen sheet around you to kind of help cover yourself up a little bit.
I turn to Joel and nod.
Oh, please, you're doing me a great favor by covering yourself up.
I say to Joel, this is no time for jokes. And I turn to Adriel and I turn to Kailan and I say,
they're talking to each other, kind of like talking to each other a bit further off, but yeah,
I step forward, with my blanket and kind of with my sword kind of wrapped around the blanket, holding the blanket onto me, like over my shoulder. And I approach them and I say, "What happened? I don't know what happened." Kailan.
Kailan looks at you and to Will, and he just turns and motions for Adriel, and he motions for Adriel to speak and step forward. And Adriel steps forward and gives a low bow. And says, "Apologies. May I ask your name?"
I'm Raylan.
My apologies, Raylan. But something foul seemed to have clung to you. It dissipated instantly. However, perhaps it was a passing sickness, perhaps a disease that was hovering around your form. That is why I had your belongings burned. And when he speaks, he's like, he has like a bit of a snout, like a fly snout, like it's kind of sucks, and that's why you hear the saliva. But that is the reasons. I did it for the safety of this Olissian order and for yourself. I do not mean to make injury upon yourself.
And at this point, I drop to my knees, place my sword, still in the scabbard, down in front of me, and I say, I wish only to serve. Ever since I emerged from the furnace during initiation, I feel as though something from my past is still stuck with me, something that I would rather leave behind. Through Oliss, I want to overcome this, but I do not want this to hold me back. I fear that you can sense that in me, but I don't want this weakness to follow me. I ask for your help in overcoming this.
You say that this something has been plaguing you, your mind? And he stares at you intently.
I keep staring at the ground and I say, it's difficult to explain. When I was submerged in the furnace, I experienced something. Oliss saw it inside me. And with Oliss I have made peace. I hope that there is a way that I can continue to enjoy the peace and sanctity of my mind. Before this whole process, I was a different person. I was not worthy of Oliss. I consider myself lucky to be so judged by him and favored. Yet it would seem that something as hard won as this may not last, and I seek to preserve it.
You see, with your grades of insight, you see his strange furs, strange insect-like furs on his head begin to rise in agitation as he looks down upon you. His glowing lantern begins to glow ever slightly brighter as he looks upon you and he says, Kailan Bram, this one must be thoroughly examined. And Kailan Bram turns, looks upon you. Take him to the chambers! Boom! End of episode 4.
Whoa!
Yeah. Bro, what the fuck is up with you?
What are you doing, man?
Yeah, what the hell? Did you like
What's
steal
going on,
their
bro?
gear or some shit?
Oh, yeah, here comes the Spanish Inquisition.
We
Just quickly, before we jump into soliloquies, I want to just everyone press the refresh button so we can, because music has stopped working. So just refresh time.
okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello?
Okay.
Who are you?
Really? What the fuck, man?
Who are you?
Fuck this book, man.
Moments. As we end this closing scene, we see Raylan clad in his red sheet being manhandled and taken to the interrogation chambers to be thoroughly inspected. Taken by these Olissians, taken to this place of perhaps torture and something worse, as they come to determine exactly what it is you are talking about, Raylan Dude. It is your scene entirely, as you have been now are being taken, perhaps fear and trepidation upon you, as you may start with a soliloquy from you, an insight into what Raylan is thinking at this moment. Just one quick question: can everyone hear the music?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a good volume.
All right, let's go.
So I bow. I have my head bowed. I'm submissive to all of this. I know that this is what I deserve, and I think that bringing it to the attention of my superiors was the right thing to do. Even if I die now, or survive, I feel that this is supposed to happen. I know that Oliss has chosen me for a reason and saw fit to let me survive the trials. So, with him, with Oliss, I place my trust in my life, and know that my only way out of this is to submit myself wholly and completely to his will, and do his will, and do it honorably. And if the members of this order do not align with the view and the will of Oliss, then either I have lost his favor or these members are not true followers. You know, I've completely submit and trust myself to Oliss. But this Adriel character frightens me because I believe that he does not swear his fealty just to Oliss. I believe that he is concerned with higher than that, and that, you know, the favor of Oliss might not count for as much with him. I believe that, you know... sorry, out of character for 1 second, Exile.
Yeah.
Is it alright for me to splurge the details of my past?
Of course, this is simply just...
Okay. I fear that, you know, when I tell them about the wives I've slaughtered, the people I've maimed and killed and got away with, the life I led, and the murderings and the feastings on the flesh of my fellow humans, an act of irreverence under Pelgan, my own father, the high priest, and myself being trained and indoctrinated in the ways in the temple and the order of Pelgan, although not quite, you know, a cleric or a member of the clergy. I was a notable person. I was someone to be trusted, but when people came to me for trust, I would take advantage of them, especially women. I took many wives, and whenever these urges surfaced, I would plant my seed in them and ravage them physically. For some reason, there was a bloodlust inside of me that I could only gain by feasting on the flesh of a human. I wanted to do violence, sick, carnage, and visceral things to the people around me. For days I would be fine, but then, for some reason, I wanted to see them hurt. I could never explain why. I never knew what was wrong with me, but now it's all being shed under the light, and it's all out. I know that Oliss accepted me knowing this, and by submitting myself to Oliss, I felt the burning eyes go through this darkness in me, and I passed out of the fire. So why am I being tested again? What's so wrong with me that I don't know. But all I know now is that I belong to Oliss. I am not my own person, and my fate is no longer my own. That's the end.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so next, Cola, if you please give your thoughts. Your theme music?
Oh yeah, sure. It's just reeling a little bit. Right. Oh, and this is interesting. The servant of he who has many names has appeared. And I was so sure I'd found something entirely within Oliss, but this man was able to determine someone who I've travelled with for, well, not the longest time, but long enough in order to actually get a proper reading from. It's all something, a flash. I'll have to ask Raylan about this later, but it matters not. As I said beforehand, I'll continue down this path. Maybe more questions to be had later on. That's all I have.
Excellent. As we jump into the thoughts of Visal.
All right. Wow. Raylan. What's going on there? Fuck. I can't believe what he has done. I mean, I get the sex and all, like, that's cool. Us ogres, we really do that a lot. We really quite enjoy it. But, wow. Murdering and ravaging them.
No one knows that, Webs. That's internal.
Yeah. That's
Those
just
are my
an
own
internal
thoughts.
Monologue, internal mind.
Can't comment.
Zero
You
knows.
don't know.
We didn't hear that?
Nope.
Your character. No.
Oh,
Soliloquy.
I thought we
Out of
did.
character, we heard it, but not
Yeah.
not within. Like
Not within.
Vsal didn't hear that, but Vsal did see the events which transpired.
So you've got limited knowledge.
Okay, I thought like the
Nah, model.
1
These are always
second was
internal.
like, can I splurge? Yes. Okay. Back in character. My bad. All right then.
That's right.
Oh, fuck.
Restart.
What I'm thinking, well, what's happening with Raylan? I no idea. He's just been seized. We had to take him. We had to throw him in a dungeon. We had to burn all his shit. And he had some expensive shit. Oh my god. Unbelievable right now. He's just, my guy, Vsal, he just doesn't know what to think. He doesn't know. Like, Raylan passed through the fires. He should be fine in the eyes of Oliss. Why is he getting tested again? This is bullshit. And also that Kriku guy. Man, he was one creepy salamander. Took us a while to get through anything to him, but I'm glad that we managed to stick with it. And now that we have the power of fire with us, being able to use it and enhance ourselves with it. He can't wait to go out into the wild and burn people with his bare hands.
Awesome. As Virgil.
I feel great fear and confusion at Raylan's current situation. Has he done wrong? Or could these people be punishing him for something that's out of his control? I do have the utmost faith in Oliss, but could I be next? If anything becomes of him, then I shudder to think the fate that lies before the rest of us. I can only hope and pray that our strength and faith in Oliss and justice will bring out the truth for Raylan and for the rest of us. That's all.
Excellent. And finally, Sersan Omars.
Talana has been a fucking busy day today. A strange little. First, we meet a salamander. Which I've seen one of these things before, but not up close, not particularly well. But aside from that, Raylan, out of everyone else, is convicted of something. Or whatever that little furry fly said. No one else seemed to understand it. I didn't understand why they were freaking out as much by their faces. This is odd. It is unfortunate about some of the armor, though. Although, it's not that particularly good steel considering humans build things.
Okay. With that ends session 4 of Burning Dusk.
You're killing me, man!
Uh-huh.
There we go. Holy shit.
I wish I had